Welcome back, everybody. You just entered back to the episode of Two Big Dudes. I'm a big dude.
I'm also a big dude.
And this is
Two Big Dudes.
Dude, welcome back, everyone. Episode 3. You probably never thought we'd get this far, but we are here, and we're here forever.
I didn't think we'd get this far.
I thought so. Honestly, I've been so excited to talk about this episode. Like, I have so much to bring to the table, and I know you are too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Let me clarify. I didn't think we'd get this far with as many views as we have. The way I envisioned this was we'd be on episode 73 and be like, yo, should we still keep doing this? No one's watching. But everybody's watching. Thank you.
Well, in all honesty, just because we're only on YouTube, first episode has 100 views, second episode has only 40, so doing that math, by episode 3 we'll only have 5 views, and episode 4 will have none. So hey, at least we'll survive till episode 4.
That's true. And I mean, we kind of already got episode 4 planned, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into everything, this is supposed to be a little later in the subject, but I thought we'd talk about it now so then we can set the basis. So we got some listener feedback from our wonderful audience and friends. And the first episode, it seems that everyone enjoyed. Second episode was a bit more controversial. Some said it was boring. Some said it's their favorite. Some said they hated that there wasn't enough ranting. Others said it was everything what they wanted. So we want to give back to the audience and give back what everyone is searching for. So some listener feedback that I got, and if you got some too, please, feel free to bring it up. But the first thing I thought of is one of our listeners said they wanted a structure to our episode. So, Two Big Dude listeners, here is the structure. We're gonna be having an intro, saying our welcoming. Then we're gonna give you a story of the week from each of us to hopefully brighten your day. Then we're gonna go into listener feedback, and that can be either any complaints, any good reviews, or any nice comments you guys have left, or the favorite. We'll read it out loud. And then we're gonna be going over the main part of the episode. We're going to have a DQ time. Don't know what that is. Stay tuned to find out. We're going to continue the main feed, and then we'll probably end it with our plugs and goodbyes. How's that sound to you?
Bro, I dig it. I like the idea of structure.
Dude, I like it too. So we did our intro, so now we're in our story of the week. And I know I've been talking forever, but let me talk 2 more minutes because I'm dying. I'm dying to tell you this. Okay, so do you pay for YouTube?
Pay for YouTube? That's like asking me, do I pay to breathe?
I know. If I didn't pay for cable, I'm not paying for YouTube, you know?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I get YouTube ads all the time. And right now we're in Halloween time. Have you seen the new trolley commercial for Sour Worms? Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen it? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So for anyone who's seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to play the whole thing for you. It's 15 seconds long, but I'm going to do it as myself, you know? So the episode, or the trailer is there's a monster in the house. And the kid is in the stairway cubby. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If a stairway's going down, you have a triangle space, and there's normally a door under the stairway. So the kid's hiding in there with trolleys. And it's very Holocaust-esque, where the kid's freaking out because the monster can't find him because he can't hear him. And the trolleys are all singing. He's like, shh, shh. And then one keeps singing, so the kid picks it up, bites the head off, and the trolley literally goes slack because it died. And then because all of them scream now of it, the monster comes in and kills the kid, right? And that's the trailer. So I kept thinking, I was like, this is like a Disney movie where it's this is a funny, happy, lucky movie. And then you're like, there's a deeper lore behind it. Like Hunchback of Notre Dame is the guy commits suicide. All these other Disney movies are some dark thing behind it. So I just imagine this kid's parents died by this monster. And then he's running into that cubby space to live. And he's looking at his closest friends because why would you bring a pack of gummy worms if you're gonna hide away from monster? No, because these things are alive. He views them as friends. And he's looking at this thing,
God.
And they're just singing along. Where he's no, please shut up. And just imagine this kid is looking at this trolley, and he's singing along. And he grabs it, and he just and he just rips the head off. You gotta see it. When it bites the head off, they literally make a whole animation of the thing going it's wiggling, and then it goes slack, and it is absolutely depressing, honestly. And then
who's the real monster?
I know. Well, it's a werewolf, which doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean, is it the kid or the monster?
Oh, it's totally the kid. Yeah. Honestly, it's super Holocaust. I'm not gonna lie.
My God.
You need to check it out later.
I think I will.
But dude, that's my story of the week about you.
All right, man. So, something really funny happened. So I've had a personal struggle these last couple of months in the community that I live in. The pool has been it works, and then it doesn't work, and every time I go there, it's just green. I swear I see the Loch Ness monster in there. Yeah, it's awful. I went with my cousins once who like had their nephews visiting, and we're like, yeah, let's go over to the pool. And I thought it was working, thought it was functioning, and it like by the time we got there, like both the faces of these two 10-year-olds and like or how they're really young, and they were just like disappointed. So it was just like, wow, this sucks. But yeah, dude, even got to the point where like I rolled up and there was a sign that said the pool was closed by the Department of Health.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I legit didn't believe that. I reached out to a friend of mine who also cleans pools. I'm like, can this happen? Or is this HOA person just like making stuff up to get the neighborhood off her back? But it has a happy ending because it finally reopened, and like I even sent an email to the HOA lady, just like, hey, confirming like, was this for real, or did like somebody just rip off the sign because they were mad because like I want to jump into the pool and not like contract like cholera or listeria or something like that. So I go there. It was like after a couple hours of just transplanting some bushes. So I'm just like, I'm gonna go take a swim. Oh, I go there and there's these two ladies and these two kids. One of the ladies, it was her kids, and I guess the other one was just a friend and whatever. It's go in there and I wave and it's all good. I just start swimming around. These kids are, they're probably like about 8 years old, 8 or 9. They seem like super close in age, but these kids like they're talkers, like how kids are. Like as I walk in, they're like, "Mommy, how'd that man get in?" I'm just like, "I opened the gate. Like that's how I got in." But I walk in and it's just it's all chill and everything, and these little kids start like ragging on their mom. They start like,
how old are these kids?
Like they had to have been like 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they're making jokes. They're making jokes. And the mom's just saying something to the effect of, "Man, y'all got some kind of mouth, this and that." Just like, but she wasn't actually offended, but like these kids are just kind of teasing their mom. And then she says something to the kid about like how he wets the bed or whatever. And this little boy goes, I'll make sure I say it right. He says, "Yeah, I know, Mom, but that's why your eyebrows are connecting, right?"
Did he get slapped?
No, man. She was in the pool. She was on the side, and I'm just like, I'm cracking up, but I'm just like doing my best to like.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, it was
so
funny, man.
That's actually insane. So you were by yourself when you saw this? No eyewitnesses? Yeah. You're a liar. It's not real.
It's totally scripted, bro. It's totally scripted.
Dude, that is amazing. I had another story for you, but it's super quick. My wife is working at home like you do, and our internet goes out. And so then,
God, that's
awesome.
It's
super annoying. So like it goes out, but you assume like it's just gonna come back, and like 20 minutes go by, it doesn't come back. We're like, what's going on? So we go back to the router, and then I'm looking at the router, and there's no light on. So I was like, what's going on? The modem has a light on, the router doesn't. And so I unplug it, plug back in, reset it, it's not working. I was literally almost about to go to Spectrum because we were talking to them, and I had to change out the router to like go there, get a new one, come back home. And then I was like, you know what, let me just try a different plug. And it worked. So moral of the story is, always do plug.
Always do plugs, yeah.
But for some listener feedback, which we already went over, but we want to go over from our last two episodes, the best friend comments. So from episode 1, we have one from @MicahMoore1619. He says, "I was on my way to jump off a bridge when this podcast came in my feed. This podcast cured my depression and is the reason I'm living another day, heart emoji."
We did something wrong.
I was like, yeah, if you haven't listened to Stan, you're supposed to commit, But at that person, we're so happy we saved your life. This podcast saves lives. This podcast is life.
This is true.
Episode 2, I don't know if there's a high rank comment yet. Let me see what we got here. Highest rank comment is divided by 2. It says, "A hero doesn't force his wife and try to remove the frog herself. FYI. I'm a hero, and I will always be a hero." That's all I know.
We save lives and we save wives. Like that's what happens.
My goodness, dude. That's the title of the podcast.
Oh yeah,
Big
there we
dude
go.
Save lives. But what did you want to talk about today, my dude?
All right, bro. Well, we're kind of going in deep here, man. title of this episode is Two Big Dudes Go People Watching. So we're actually
I know you've been like telling me how like controversial you are for this episode.
controversial.
It's the wrong word. I'm bad with vocabulary.
That's okay. Yeah, dude. So I feel like we're gonna delve a little bit into I think sociology is the word, the study of people. We're gonna talk about people. I want us to talk about personality types and how different personality types contribute to group dynamics.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Super excited.
This is gonna be interesting because I actually really like this subject a lot. So I feel like there is a little bit of controversy with how people view that Myers-Briggs personality model. You know, some people absolutely like they look at it like hard and fast gospel, you know, like no. And it's some people look at it like it's completely bogus, mostly because they don't like how people let that dictate their personality. It's like, oh, I'm an INFJ and I can only be with an ENFP.
Stop.
Yeah, because then it's like a scientific zodiac.
I'm
you know?
telling you, if the moment my wife listens to this episode, I'm sleeping on the couch. She knows how much I hate.
Oh,
I hate
yes,
with a
controversy,
passion.
baby.
It's yeah. She's gonna be raging to me when this episode's done. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not gonna jump into that too much. I will say I am on the side of I think it's a good tool. I think it identifies and categorizes human behavior because
Agreed.
we all exhibit different tendencies and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like it's a good tool, that's all. But what my whole thing is some people have a measure of extroversion or introversion. Everybody's got a mix of the two, and everybody is a little bit more or less on the scale. You know, it's like introversion's far left, extroversion's far right. I think most of us are kind of in the middle, but some of us, tend to go on different sides here. So, that being said, I have a couple questions to pose, some things for us to discuss.
Yeah, go.
And for everyone who's listening to this, if you don't already know, me as a big dude, I am an extroverted introvert. I am primarily introverted by the definition, because
no, I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the whole thing is an introvert gains energy from being away from like a social crew. We get our energy by being by ourselves, whereas an extrovert, like they thrive on the social interaction. That's where they get their energy.
Yeah, Goku Spirit Ball, got it.
Yeah, what?
Lend me your energy. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's good. Okay, so since we're mostly talking about introversion and extroversion, me being the introvert, you being the extrovert, what are your thoughts on the whole concept or the question of do opposite personalities attract each other?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm living proof. Like, my wife is total introvert. She has her extrovert moments, but like you're saying you're an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
My wife is definitely my wife. Oh, another listener feedback. I said my wife too much, so I'm gonna keep saying it. But she is totally an introverted introvert, and like she only expresses her extrovert self when she's around her close friends, and even then, it's not even that much. Like almost every time we either go on a double date or we're going out. Every time after every association, we're in the car and she's like, "Oh, I hope they don't hate me. I didn't talk that much." And it's like, well, they already know you don't talk a lot. And like, they talk a lot, so that's fine. It's like when I'm hanging with you, I talk like 1,000,000 miles a minute and you say like 5 things. And we're great. Honestly, you talk a lot more too. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think opposites attract in that regard of introvert and extrovert. But I also think similarities attract.
Absolutely.
I think like either way is fine. But I agree that opposites attract. Yes.
I'm kind of I'm a flake in that sense because my answer is yes and no.
Okay.
I think opposites can attract, but similar personalities can attract as well. Like Uh, also in this way, opposites attract because your wife should know I was friends with him first.
Dude, I still
But
remember meeting you
uh,
playing the Game Boy on the curb.
yeah, I won't even deny it. Like, what's the use of denying
I mean,
it?
the coolest part is like I saw you on the curb playing a Game Boy. I went up to you. We were like, I don't know, 9 or 10 at the time, really young.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "What are you playing?" I don't remember what you were playing. You were playing something. I'm watching you. And then later they're playing football on the field. We played football. And then
So
that
we
night
did
I
play
go to your
football.
house because our parents have the same friend that was visiting, and that was kind of hype.
Yeah, I do remember that day, and I remember pulling up at your house. I don't remember the Game Boy, but
You
I
went
don't
to
doubt
my
that it
house. I
happened.
went to your house.
No, I went to your house first. You walked out. Your sister walked out, and like your mom and dad did, and they said hi and talked, and then yeah, it ended with you coming to my house for some party or family reunion, which we had like every month back in the day.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Oh,
so
okay, cool.
yeah, because I think it was like after the cleanup or something.
Yeah, I think
like
it was
that.
too.
Yeah.
All right, back to your story though.
Something like that.
Sorry, a little segment.
No, you're good. Segues are good. Segues are good. So yeah, I do feel that opposites can attract. Like I personally have had the experience in my dating life where I matched up with someone for a long time that was the extrovert and I was the introvert.
Oh, I
But it was
remember.
interesting because the differing personality types met and balanced each other out in kind of a way.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's also other friends that I've had that are introverted like myself, you know, or maybe more introverted. And then I have to be the one who is the extrovert. So it's like it brings me out a little bit. But yeah, like going into writing this question, I knew 100% like this is a good question to ask you
Yeah.
because you married an introvert.
I mean, I still think, I still think it's a more likely, at least for my life.
Mhm.
I think you're my most extroverted friend. Like, if you really
That's
think about all
awesome.
my friends, like those from South Florida, those here, almost everyone is introverted more than more than me. You know, very few are as extroverted or even beyond me. So,
Interesting.
like, I know that I'm personally attracted to that genre of people. Like, anytime I meet like a more of introvert individual, it's like, hey, like I want to be more of your friend than somebody talking their ear off like I do.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Similarities to me don't attract as much.
And that right there plays into my whole theory because the extrovert draws out the introvert and they like if you know obviously if there's a connection between the person as an individual going way past the introversion extroversion thing, like we like being drawn out because
Mm-hmm.
it draws us safely out of our comfort zone and we're
Right.
like cool, we can be comfortable, we can chill. Like anytime I'm with this dude, I totally almost said your name, but anytime I'm with this dude, it helps to draw that and train, like basically kind of build that extroverted quality
Yeah.
up. Like that's why I personally like being around extroverts because in a way they draw that quality out of me and I feel like hey, you know what, I'm actually contributing to this
Mm-hmm.
conversation, this interaction, and it seems like that they like that version of me or so on and so
Yeah.
forth. You know, growing I will tell you this though, like growing up that was kind of a difficult thing because I found myself attracted to all sorts of different people. Like to the point where I began to kind of question my identity. It's like I'm this way with so and so, but I'm this way with so and so.
I must be a girl.
I must be a girl. I dyed my hair blue,
Oh
you know, I
gosh,
got a
just
Tumblr
stop.
account.
Stop.
But no, it caused a serious like question. Like,
Yeah.
am I just the kind of person that panders to others? Like, do I have my own personality?
Mm.
It wasn't until much later in life that I basically just learned about myself that like, you know, I like to please people, you know?
Oh, same.
When I'm around someone, I don't want to make someone uncomfortable to the point where I'll kind of bend my own preferences a little or a lot. And if I'm comfortable with it, you know, I continue making that effort, but not always is it like, you know, easy or do I always want to, you know, try to comport myself in that way.
Yeah.
Not making this completely about myself, but it's just,
Oh no, go ahead.
you know, the thoughts of someone who's an introverted. And again, this is kind of why I put a little bit of stake in that Myers-Briggs personality model.
Oh yeah.
When
Well,
I
before you get into that for a
go
second,
on.
because you were talking about how you're also attracted to the opposite.
Yeah.
I also have a theory. Actually, I kind of take back what I say earlier that similarities attract. If they do, like for instance, like I have few extroverted friends. Like I said, you're probably my most extroverted friend, and I have a few more that I most likely
You
made
have a more
recently.
extroverted friend. You do.
I think I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I actually have two. But one I'll tell you, like, because I can't mention names, but
Yeah.
he's got a big curly mustache, and I'm pretty sure he's my next extroverted friend.
I love that
and he'll
curly
listen to it and probably
mustache.
agree with me. But depending on the type of extrovert you are, like if you're like me, I genuinely don't like you, and I think you see that. There's a
I
person that
have.
you're always like, oh, you're just like this person. I can't believe you don't get along, and it's just like I don't like me. Like I don't know why you guys like me, but
Oh,
I don't like me in
yeah.
regards to like it sounds super self-centered, but I do like being the like voice of the conversation. I do like getting to like express my stories and partake in like other stories.
Yeah.
And I like just being able to get to know someone and they are I'm trying to say this in a way not to be so rude, but like if I'm asking you like, "Hey, what do you do for work?" and you go on your and you go like you tell me like blah 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 blah, you at the end of your sentence you should go, "Oh, hey, what do you do for work?" And then that's like a
Yeah.
genuine conversation.
Reciprocate.
But there's people who are like me to an extreme where I'm like, "Hey, what do you do for work?" and they just go all on about themselves, and when they're done talking about themselves, they want to keep talking about themselves. And that's what drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I already talk about myself enough that I'm like, I want to hear more about you and I want you to hear about me, but
Yeah.
like, I don't want to just be the only one. So
Yeah.
I do actually think similarities have a less chance of
Clashing.
attracting. I think they're going to clash more.
attracting.
Yeah, I think they're going to
I
clash
got you.
more.
I got you.
I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I do, because that actually
think.
that leads. Well, I agree with what you were saying just now, especially giving that synopsis
Yeah.
of yourself. But I also do agree. Yeah, people that are similar, they do tend to attract for
Mhm.
sure. And opposites do too. That's why I said I'm sitting right in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that episode of Futurama where
Remind me.
it was like the whole thing with like Zap Brannigan was like
I love him.
Leela. But it was I think it was like the episode where he does something to like end up getting him kicked out of the Space Force or whatever. But like it was like this like peace console thing, and there was this race of people that were called the Neutronians. Yeah,
Mhm.
they were like gray and everything,
I
and
don't
it's just
remember
like,
this.
oh man, it was hilarious. But there was basically like they were neutral in everything, and it's just like, okay, what do the humans think, and what do the Omicrons think, and what about the Neutronians? And he stands up, we are neutral, and Zap's like, ooh, God, I hate those dang Neutronians,
Zap Brannigan's amazing.
Oh, one of the best animated characters.
He
for
really
sure.
is.
Yeah.
He stays true to his character like
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
time, which I love.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. The voice actor, the character design, like I love it. Anyway,
yeah. Should have been episode 2. But you were going on about the something Gregor something thing. I don't never know what this is.
yeah. No, where it's just again where I do put some stock in the Myers-Briggs things because
There
there's people that exhibit similar traits. And
Yeah.
when I took the test, and I've taken it many times over the years, and I always end up with the same categorization. I think it's INFJ. And anytime I read the character, like basically the profiles, the similar behavioral traits, it's almost to a point where I'm almost reading exactly what I think about certain things, how I act in certain scenarios. And granted, there is going to be a measure of I want to be discovered. I think that's what kind of attracts people. And they go and say, "Oh yeah, that's totally me. That's totally me." And they just we want to be defined somehow. But anyway, I can't ignore that's like, okay, yeah, these are a lot of attributes that I personally exhibit. But going back to what you were saying, you like in a social situation, you kind of like maybe not so much having the spotlight, because I've been with you a lot, and you're not like, hey, everybody, look at me, but you're the guy that wants the spotlight in the way that's like, hey, I want to be the driver of this social situation because
Oh
I
yeah.
want these people to participate. So if I tell them a story about me, I'll invite them to tell a story about them. And like genuinely, you do an awesome job of like incorporating everybody in the room.
Oh, I
So
appreciate you.
yeah, dude, totally. So that's what I mean by the spotlight. So my next question to you, do extroverts compete for the spotlight? When you are in a
Totally.
room with another extrovert, do y'all compete?
So yes, yes and no. So it depends. So when I hear there's an extrovert that I know today, and you know him, and he's Asian, and he knows him, and he's totally an extrovert, and I love him to death. But I truly think him and I clash because
Uh-huh.
he likes telling a story, which is always hilarious, and I like telling a story, which is always hilarious. And I think it's subtle, but we both always like want to one up each other. And
It's not
it's
subtle. I
yeah.
see it.
If he's gonna listen to it,
Bro, I got this story for you, bro.
I totally think, and I love him to death for it. But he's on the I'm okay competing in that regard. But then there's other people who, when they talk about a story,
Uh-huh.
okay, for instance, let me take this back a bit. When I talk about a story, or when this dude also talks about a story, it's usually about someone else, and it's meant to be like comedic or like a learning experience. Like for
Sure.
instance, oh, today I was driving, this cop was hiding in this, on this side here. You should watch out for it. It's a story where it's like you
Mhm.
benefit from hearing this,
Right.
or like my trolley commercial rant. Like
Right.
that was just something funny for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
And that dude also talks about stories like that, which I totally respect. I think it's an awesome way to keep a group together. And I think
Sure.
he also is a great involving everyone into like a group. He's great at that. But then you have other extroverts, and I think you're not gonna know who I'm talking about, or you will. I'm saying. And when they talk about stories, it's always about them. It's always like,
Oh.
today I did this and
Yeah.
I did that. End of story. And then next story, oh my God, this reminds me when I did this. And that's when I don't even want to compete. It's more so like I'd rather ignore it and do something else.
Yeah.
Because I'm never gonna compete saying like, oh, you know what I did? Like
Yeah.
that is so small. It makes me
Yeah.
feel small. Cause there are times, like the one thing I talk about myself is my card game. Like I love
Yeah.
talking about my card game. And it's something I noticed that like when I talk about it, I was like, wow, I'm really talking about me a lot. And I get self-conscious about it because I'm like, I need to shut up. But then at least I hope it makes others feel better, is like when someone's telling me what they're into, I want to listen about it.
Yeah.
Like we have a friend of ours who loves making alcohol, and I want him to tell me like what's every ingredient, what's your reasoning behind it, because like I know that you give me my time when I'm expressing something I like.
Mhm.
I want to give you the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you do give me time of day to talk about things I like, I will take hold of it. Like I think that's a bad part of me. So if you ask me, there's a friend of ours, and you'll know him when I go, bro. And when he talks
Bro.
about my card game, it's like he's opening the doors, being like, bro, just tell me what's on your mind. And I get to like literally express everything on it, and that's great.
Yeah.
But that's probably my most like selfish way I speak. But when others only speak that way, I can't stand it.
People, I need everybody to pay attention because that right there is a masterclass in social awareness and social acuity. Talk less about yourselves because that I think engenders a selfless environment.
Yeah.
Because once I'm done talking about the things you asked me about, you, as a good friend and a person who's like socially aware, ask that same person like what
Yes.
they did, because what's helped them to feel that's what helps them to feel involved. Like, and that's what makes you. I'm gonna just compliment you again here, like a good friend.
Anime blushing right now. Anime makes you
Okay.
cool. Hashtag. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I do think extroverts clash, but it depends on like I'm not using the right words, but like their genre of extrovert is what I say.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
I hope the community understands me.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's not a black and white thing. It's not like you're either introverted or you're extroverted. Like and I think it's going to vary in different circumstances. Like I think you and I once spoke about this before, and you were telling me of a time that you were, I guess, kind of maybe not so much feeling introverted, but you didn't really have the space in the dynamics of that environment to actually kind of be yourself, and you started to feel like a little out of place and
Hmm.
maybe just like completely off. You just felt off. I don't remember the time or the experience, but I think it honestly may have been with a friend that you have now that you both are like you just really good friends now. Like
Yeah,
I think it might have just been like maybe the first time around, you know?
probably. I
Yeah.
mean, in general, like, don't take it where you can't talk about yourself. Because,
Right.
like, if you went on a trip and you want to say what you did, like, you should talk about
Yeah.
it. Or if you, like, won the lottery, like, talk about that story. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to talk about yourself. But when you, like, you're the one talking and you are the driving force of this conversation of me, oh, hey, that, like, that thing you said about you, me.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's when, at least for me, I'm literally like, I roll my eyes. I'm like, I want to go.
It's a
Because,
social turnoff
yeah,
because it's egotistical,
yes, it's like I
selfish.
love hearing about you, but like if you're talking about you, like let me talk about me, and then let's move on and talk about something else
Yeah.
because I'm totally fine. Like for instance, there's one of our friends. He's making a song, and he like you know me, I care less about music. I honestly care less, and I don't give music the respect it deserves. So I could care less what he's saying, but the fact that he's like really into it makes me into it. And
Gotcha.
then the conversation can go into something else or branching off in that matter. And you could tell that he also understands social cue of like, hi, I've been talking a lot about me. Let me change the subject.
Yeah.
It's when you talk about you, yeah, done over.
You got to switch it up.
I
You
agree.
have to make sure that you're not. You have to have balance. You have to have
Totally
balance.
agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's interesting. I kind of expected you, but I did want to have you like speak it
I
out
did not
into the
expect
mic.
these questions. It's so funny because I have questions for you later.
Shoot. Okay. Well, see, there we go.
Yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead.
All right. Well, then just kind of continuing on with this whole introverted
Oh, wait,
extroversion
can we
thing.
go back to the,
Go
or
for it.
unless you're gonna go to it,
Go for it. You tell me.
what's the list thing you just said again? The Meyer.
Myers Briggs
Yeah.
personality
Okay, first
types.
off, my wife's gonna hate me for this, but
Go for it, dude.
I totally agree with you that people have this driving force to have someone tell them who they are, which drives me crazy because of two things. But and before I get to that, this list is a good tool. You actually like you use the perfect words. It is a good tool. Because if
Yeah.
like you want to know specifics about yourself, you know, you can learn about it and you're like, okay, for instance, like I like this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, perhaps I should try this. Great tool to have. It helps you branch out in things you know you'll be good
Yeah.
at or thrive in. What I hate is when people are like, oh, I'm an INTJ or an INFJ or whatever. Huh, that means I'll probably hate this movie. Before watching it, I'm just gonna say I hate this movie.
Oh,
And I
jeez.
hate when
Yeah.
it's like they define themselves off it.
Yeah.
Or, and I'm using a terrible example of a movie, but I'm just using something
Right.
of you'll ask someone like, oh, do you like doing this? No. Have you ever done it? No, but I've done that test, and because I'm this, I know I won't like it. And it's
Yeah.
like, stop.
Like I legitimately have heard people say because I am whatever
Yeah,
they're
ABCD.
yeah, like oh, people that are such and such, like I just don't get along with them. Like
I
or I
hate
won't like
that.
to. Or it's like, oh,
Ugh.
I didn't really vibe with this person. They must be something 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 something. And it's just like
It's
that's where
so
I'm like,
annoying.
no, fam.
Yeah, that's the one thing I hate about it because I get it if you're into it and you like it in regards to, like you said, being a useful tool. But
Yeah.
when you use it to literally dictate your every action, I think that's so foolish.
Yeah. And it's not logical.
Yeah,
Really.
that drives
It's
me
not.
crazy. And then my other rant about it is the second point is I still think it's a little bit of a scam because it's I'm trying to remember what was something similar, but it's almost like you could go through that test
Mhm.
and you could close your eyes, pick random questions. The people who made this test, whatever the name you gave, if that really is the guy who made it, because first off, there's thousands of those tests and they're all different.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true. It's
If
not
there
one
is a main
uniform
one,
thing.
I have
Yeah.
no idea what the main one is in quotation marks that I'm making.
Right.
Um, I'm pretty sure you can close your eyes, pick all random things, read it off, and 80% you'll be like, oh yeah, that's me. Because they
Yeah.
make it vague for a reason. Like
Right. Yep.
it's a test meant to be where like if you answer it close enough to like if you're actually answering honestly, I should say,
Yeah.
it's never gonna be wrong. Because the thing is so vague.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It's true.
it specifically doesn't say like you like blueberries. It's like, oh, you enjoy fruits and vegetables. It's like, well, no duh. You know what I mean? And people are gonna be like, oh my god, it knows me. It's not a good example, but
No, no.
do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, man, because I've taken that test more than a handful of times, And each and every time, there are a handful of questions where it's like, I wouldn't be in this situation.
Yep.
I would not be, you know?
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
think the test it's a useful tool and it's a little bit of a scam.
Yeah,
In
for
regards
sure.
to like it's never gonna be wrong.
Right.
Like like I said, like you're an INFJ. I am a I forgot.
Definitely starts with an E.
Yeah, I think you're right. I might be like I don't even know honestly. I know I do start with an E and whatever letters. But when I was reading it, like there's introverts that I read this and I'm like my introverted friends are literally like this. But they probably just answer a couple questions wrong. Like almost every single answer of these, 90% of them will resonate with you
Yeah.
because the test is meant to never be wrong. Do you know what I mean? I should say never be wrong, but I'm trying to give an example.
No, but I know what you mean because like when you say you could pick stuff at random and you would get a personality type. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you could close your eyes and just select random answers. And yeah, absolutely.
What I'm
It's
saying,
very vague.
you'll get a random personality type, but even though that may not be your personality type, I can almost confidently say that 80% of whatever they give
Is
you
relatable.
is relatable.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like this is always going to resonate with 90% of the population. So I might as well put this here.
There you go.
Some resonate
Yeah.
stronger, but they resonate with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
And that's it's a very fair assessment. You know, I agree with you there. Yeah, it's definitely not without its flaws.
Yeah,
That's
oh
for
yeah, I
sure.
agree. That's
Yeah.
a little rant about it. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. No, and it's no, it's funny. I can't use names, but there was there was a dude that I knew a while ago who yeah, he definitely he had some like very very strong opinions against it, but like I will say this leaving the that personality test or whatever completely out of the equation, I do think there are just some people that exhibit certain qualities, whether they're personality traits or genuine character flaws, that are the exact opposite of what your values are, and like you can't take them. You
Mhm.
know, like I don't think that can be quantified though, because you know you cannot quantify the human mind or the personality because
Yeah.
of just there's too many complexities that surround it. But you know, at a very superficial level, we can detect things, and maybe even down to an intuitive level. But yeah, you can't nail your personality down to 4 letters. That's
Oh,
just
I agree.
yeah, you
And you're
cannot.
always gonna be changing. Like who
And
you,
that's it too.
yeah,
Yes.
who you hang out with will change you.
Yep.
What you watch will change you. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like what you partake in will change you.
What you experience in life will
Yep.
change you. The years change you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, that's what yeah. You can't just look at these 4 letters and be like, this is who I'm gonna be till the day I die. It's like that's
Right.
not true. That's who you are today.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's why I feel like you can make it a little bit more broad in the sense of like, okay, well, for sure, introversion and extroversion, like that's a big one. I don't think there's really debating that. Some people are
Oh
more
yeah.
outgoing and others are more shy, and that's like cool. That's the common ground because that's the
Yeah.
most observable
Agreed.
thing. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was just to kind of be like, what are things that introverts and extroverts like do? Let me wager an example. As an introverted person, I tend to be more of a creative type.
Okay.
Your wife is also very introverted
Mhm.
and a very creative type. This doesn't mean that extroverts are not creative, and I'll get a little bit more on that down the line here. But for instance, because especially maybe about 10 years ago or so, and I was definitely way more introverted than I am now, extroverted. I'm way more extroverted now than I used to be. So a lot of my activities as a introverted person would be kind of like living in my head, thinking of like little comics that I'm going to draw, story ideas that I'm going to
Yeah.
write, or you know, later on it became music as well. But that's what my solace would be. Every night I would spend probably like hours in the night either drawing or writing or doing something like that, and just I felt like I was thriving in that, you know. And I attributed a lot of what I couldn't do or say in a social situation. It would be kind of channeled into my artwork, as well as you know thoughts, emotions, and things, and all that stuff. That I feel like is a very common thread with people that are introverted. Not necessarily that it has to be expressed through art, but things, activities that a person pours themselves into behind that closed door.
Hmm.
So along that line, that train of thought, as an extroverted person yourself, what are certain things that you do?
So I agree with you that more introverts are more creative. And I think it's just like because you're spending more time within your own space, like in your mind,
Yep.
it gives you that creative capability. But extroverts are still creative, but not to the degree, I believe, of
Really?
introverts. Because you like to spend most of your time, like you said, like in your own head in regards to drawing, coming up with ideas, et cetera, et cetera. When, like, for me, I like to think of things that I could just do. And that's like work, get
Hmm.
things done around the house, and just set my week up. Which
Right.
is it's still creative, but not to your degree. Like my wife and I are so different where
Perhaps.
when my wife is like in her own space, she's just thinking about like what she wants to draw or what she wants to watch or maybe some like drama that's going on. Like that's in her head. But
Right.
for me, when I got my free time, I'm literally always thinking about like, all right, what am I just gonna do for work? What should I do before the day's over? And what do I want to do this weekend? Like that's what I think. And for me, if I'm in bed just chilling, my go-to is either to like watch YouTube or TV
Hmm.
and go to sleep, other than being creative.
Yeah.
Because my mind has been so active all day in regards to just talking with people, doing things,
Hmm.
that when it's bedtime, it's my time to just zone out and relax.
Gotcha. But
Hmm.
you have found time to be creative.
Oh yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, the beginnings of Impact were far different from what they are now.
Oh yeah, for
When
sure.
you told me that story that you were making, I was genuinely like taken aback because I'm
Oh, for
like
Altera?
yes,
Yeah, that's a pretty cool
because
story.
like no offense, I didn't think you had a creative bone in you. Like,
Join the Patreon to hear the story.
Exactly, yeah. Patrons get the story. So like I didn't think you had it in you, and you did, and it wasn't just like, oh, this is like his first time putting a story together. It's just like, no, shoot, this is like an amalgamation of things that I can tell because you're like a huge anime watcher. Story is big for you,
Oh yeah.
like, and all of that really showed. And when you told me the story, I was genuinely like entertained and shocked. I'm
Dude,
like,
it's pretty
wow,
good.
it
It's
was
pretty
really
good.
good.
Like,
Yeah. So
to pat
you
myself on the
did
back, it's pretty
find
good.
time to get
Oh
creative.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying extroverts aren't creative. It's just
Right.
okay, for instance, like your whole life you've been drawing and doing creative things.
Correct.
Like you just said, you didn't think there was a creative bone in my body. Like I just got into it, and it's most likely because I hang out with an introvert who is also creative, and I think it just rubbed off on me.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying extroverts aren't creative.
Right.
Like for instance, the dude who loves making a lot of alcohol, I'm pretty sure he's an extrovert, and he's extremely creative because
True.
he's always making new concoctions,
Very true.
and I think it's
He's a
just
sneaky extrovert.
he is a sneaky extrovert.
So sneaky.
Like you wouldn't think he's an extrovert, but he's
No.
fully an extrovert.
No, yeah.
He's a 3-lettered name extrovert.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, but no, I mean they are creative. It's just
For sure.
It's a different level.
But I guess your energy is mostly spent.
And my creativity was
Like-
for a purpose because like that was my original idea for a board game. And like my creativity was like I want to make this a reality. Your
Yeah.
creativity is more of like I want to please myself
Yeah.
in regards to like, hey, what do I want to do tonight? And you want to draw this picture. You know what I mean? Like I have a purpose for my creation. It's not like oh, I got free time, let me think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a different mindset.
Yeah. Okay, different mindset. So it's with a purpose.
Yeah, I think the best way I could put it, honestly.
No. That's quite interesting. That is quite interesting. It's done with a purpose, and like ask your wife if there's a purpose as to why she likes drawing.
Well, yeah, because you can even see it. Like when she draws, I'm the one who tells everyone, "Hey, look at her drawing."
Yeah.
Because her purpose
We don't
is
like
not
to share.
Yeah, her purpose
Yeah.
is not to show anyone. It's
Yep.
literally for yourself.
Yep.
Which is like not selfish. I'm just saying it's like for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Where when I created that story, I was telling everyone I knew. I was literally like, "Bro, I need your opinion on this," because I had a purpose for it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I could put it.
No, that's true. It makes a lot of sense. It does. It is self-serving. It is self-serving, not just because it's like I want to make something. No, it does help resolve maybe some of the problems that we have inside our own headspace, because maybe we're not as apt to confront or talk about these things, so that nervous energy gets built up, and can be expressed via artwork. Like, there's a lot of artwork that I don't show people, that I haven't showed people, and probably will never show people.
Right.
Even, even people that I've been very close with, like girls that I've dated, I still don't show them that. I never,
Right,
even
right.
if it was a very serious relationship, I still didn't. I
Right.
still didn't.
So
And
that
when I
makes-
did, I was very selective.
Yeah. This makes me pose a question for you. Do you think introverts are afraid to show their, I don't want to say their creations, but like things they're doing because they fear negative feedback?
Rejection?
Yeah, rejection.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so because here's a live example of I remember episode 2 came out for this podcast.
Oh, I knew you were gonna bring
Yeah,
this up.
yeah, exactly. Episode 2 came out for this podcast, and literally like the next day I saw some of our listeners, our friends.
Yeah.
And me being an extrovert, I'm like, I just want to hear feedback. I'm like, what did you think? And it was negative.
Yeah.
And I remember taking it hurt, like in a sense, because I'm like, okay, they didn't like it, or they didn't hate it, but it's like they were like it wasn't for them.
Right.
And I remember I was like, I took it, I kind of rubbed it off, and I was like, oh, we could change it like this and make it better.
Yeah.
I remember telling you,
Yeah.
and your smile went away immediately. You were literally like, I was like, bro, I talked to X and Y, and they said they didn't like the podcast. And like the whole time you're like, yeah. Oh. I'm not gonna lie, that's really annoying. And you're like, you looked devastatedly hurt about it.
Dude, when I read your text message, I was deflated a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, after I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, am I really like, did I really get put off by that? Like,
Yeah, I think you did.
it was feedback. And that's why I tried to backtrack so much, because it's like, come on, you do something like this, you have to have feedback.
Yeah.
But at the core, our initial reaction is that we're afraid of rejection. Or negative feedback, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't think extroverts are. I don't think we're not afraid of rejection. I think everyone fears rejection. I
For
think
sure.
they just handle it differently. Like,
That's a good way to put it.
handle rejection in a way of like, okay, it's like one of three things. It's like A, I can do better. 2, they just don't resonate with whatever product or thing I'm going with. Or 3, they're just dead wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, another example, I'm going to keep talking about myself, even though I said you shouldn't do that. My card game, when people resonate with it, I love it. When people give me negative feedback, I think of, oh, you're right, I should change this. Like, just recently, I posted my game in a forum. I got some publishers to view it, and they gave me their feedback.
No kidding.
And a lot of it was positive, but there was, I wouldn't say negative feedback, but there was a lot of, they were like, you know what, this would be better. And I looked at it, and I was like, wow, you're totally right. Wow. And I changed it, and it worked out for the better. And then you have another one, who, if he's listening, he's gonna know who I'm talking about. He gave such negative feedback, and he was just utterly wrong. And like you just kind of throw it over your shoulder. Would you?
You know what I said.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's like introverts fear rejection or just handle it differently than extroverts.
Yeah. No, that's a very good way to put it. Yeah. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah, because anything that's like, if it's sensitive or close to you, there's all these memes about like the meme, it can be like a picture of somebody who's nervous or whatever, and it's just like the caption is something along the lines of like, when you've put your favorite song like on the radio in the car and like no one's like, basically like no one's.
You know what's so funny is
what?
Whenever someone puts their favorite song in the car and nobody is like dancing to it or whatever or enjoying it.
Yeah.
The person playing it is always like, oh, the best part's coming up. It's coming up. Oh, just give it some time. And it's always like that.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think everyone has gone through that. I don't even think that's an introvert extrovert thing.
No,
I think it's just a thing of like, you personally like it and you're just weird for liking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got you. That's really funny.
There's so many podcast episodes that I've shown you and all of our friends and family, and I'm like, oh, this is the part that's hilarious, and I'm the only one laughing. And I'm like, oh yeah, the best part's coming up, and it's not coming up, and I'm like, look at that, I turn it off immediately.
well, yeah, dude, and you've gotten me with this before. Like, you can tell when you're showing me something or telling me something that maybe I don't genuinely think is funny. Did you hear that laugh a second ago? That was a real laugh.
Oh yeah,
and you've gotten me.
Laughs.
You know my fake laughs, and it's just like, oh, I don't really want him to feel bad. Like, let me try to find something funny to laugh at.
I'm totally a fake laugher for so many things, dude.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you don't want the person to feel like anytime I show them something, I might get this reaction. So I don't want them, like, I don't want them to think they can't show me anything.
Right. I'm not fake laughing to look down on you. I'm
Yeah.
fake laughing to like make sure you don't feel awkward.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah, I want to hit you with the.
Oh yeah, that's the worst when someone's like, they're like, oh blah 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 blah, punchline, and you're just like, okay.
For instance, Joe DiMaggio.
That's the best. That's the best joke.
Well, I mean,
join the
dude,
Patreon to hear
only
that joke.
after hearing it, like after the third or fourth time, I'm like, I genuinely get it.
That
It's funny
joke
now.
is the funniest. No, you know what? Okay, jump back to listener feedback. We had a complaint where we were talking about the Trail of Tears, and nobody knew what that was. So we're gonna give that in a bit. But this joke we're talking about, I just have to tell it now, since like if you don't know what it is, you're not laughing.
Exactly.
So there's an old lady in a neighborhood, and it's like, let's just imagine it's like a 20 house cul-de-sac kind of thing, like a long road, and everyone knows there's a crazy old lady. One day she comes home with a dog. And that same day, she runs out of her neighborhood in the middle of the night, screaming, "My dog can talk! My dog can talk!" And everyone's waking up, rubbing their eyes, walking out like, huh, what's going on? And she's just running frantically, "My dog can talk!" And everyone looks at her, "What are you talking about? Like, crazy old lady? Your dog can't talk, dogs don't talk." She's like, she grabs by the shoulders, like, "No, my dog talks. You have to come and see it." And they all look at their watch like, "Oh, it's 3 a.m. We'll come back in the morning and we'll come see your dog." Okay. She goes back home, 7 a.m. hits, everyone's in their robes and coffee, rubbing their eyes, looking at this old lady. So she takes her dog on a leash. And she goes, "Everyone, my dog can talk." And like the head honcho of the neighborhood is like, "Okay, Miss Crazy Old Lady, show us your dog can talk." And she's like, "Okay, dog, what is on the outside of a tree? Bark." And so nobody is smiling or laughing. And the gentleman kind of rubs his eyes, with the index finger and thumb in between, just, "Okay, funny joke, we get it, your dog talks." But then she's like, "No, really, he can talk. Dog, what is on the top of a building? Roof." And everyone is now looking at each other, and some chuckles are happening now. Okay, she got us good. And now the gentleman isn't rubbing his eyes. He's like, you got us. Okay, he talks. Don't you talk, boy. And then she's like, "No, he can really talk. Dog, who's the best baseball player?" "Joe DiMaggio."
I mean,
That's a great joke.
No, it's good. Like genuinely, like I get it. If you didn't
laugh
hilarious.
listening to it, you will laugh in the middle of the night when you think about it. It's a hilarious joke.
It's good. I like the joke. I did hear a different version of that story though.
Really?
Yeah, on the side of her house, there was this strange graffiti. It said like "Purple Passion."
I'm not telling that joke. That is if you want this podcast to go for 5 hours, then I'll tell that joke. Join the Patreon for the Purple Passion episode.
Oh my gosh! So you were talking about the Trail of Tears.
Yeah, the listeners want to know, what is the Trail of Tears?
Okay. Well, let me tell the story. This takes place. I think this was genuinely 10 years ago now.
You're so much better with dates. I don't know when this.
It was 10 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
We went camping, and in this particular campsite, we used to go with a massive group of friends.
Yeah.
Every single lot was taken up by one of our friends or families or friends of friends, something of that sort. A lot of fun. Man, it was such a great, yearly tradition. This particular campground had a boardwalk that was technically closed at night.
Right.
Because there's animals, there's bears, there's alligators, there's, panthers, all sorts of animals. And our thing was always like, we're going to go at night.
It was always fun.
Thing.
Always fun, yep.
We're going to go to the trail at night. night. Okay, anyway. So that year was no different. I was not there.
Yeah, I was.
But you were, and yet I am telling the story.
No, go ahead. I'll just add on whenever need be.
So, this dude was there with his future bride, and standing at the back of the group, if I'm not mistaken. So, this boardwalk, let me paint the picture. On your way there, first of all, there's zero light. This is a campground in the middle of the forest. Exactly.
We only had 2 flashlights, by the way.
Oh,
only
you
2.
only had 2.
We only had 2 flashlights.
Okay, only 2 flashlights.
But it was enough light.
Walking to that particular trail at night itself was already daunting. During the day, though, you can see it's nice. It has this nice little open area
Yeah,
where
it's pitch black.
It's pitch black.
Yep.
But it's open area that's like something out of the Slender Man video games. You know, it's this random shack, all these trees, this rustling in the trees around you. But once you actually get on the trail, it's a boardwalk that lifts off the ground. So it's like maybe what, 2-3 feet, maybe 2 feet up. Maybe just
it's
a
not
foot
very
even.
high up. It's about like it's like 4.5 feet wide, and it's got like a little like 6-inch guardrail.
Yeah.
So like you could easily like fall off if you planned on it, but you could
right. Yeah. Well, if you didn't have a flashlight.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So this particular trail, it wasn't super long, but it also wasn't short.
No, it led to the canoe ride. So
Yeah.
in the daytime, you would just take it, get in the river because it leads right up to a river.
Right.
But at night they close it off because the canoe rides are closed.
Yeah.
So we just went there. We got to the trail, and at the end of the trail, there's like seats. So we all sit down next to the river.
Yeah.
And it was me, my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, and there was like 4 other individuals there. 2 of them are gentlemen, and then 2 of them are women. Okay.
Right.
And so the funny part is that a little bit going back, there's another trail that goes along the other side of the river. You can't see that trail, so you can imagine an X on the map, and the perpendicular line is a river, and the other one that crosses is the trail.
Correct.
But they both stop at the river. So we're just sitting there, and unbeknownst to us, your brother and another friend of ours is on the other side. We don't hear them.
Yep.
And we're all just chatting. So the 2 flashlight holders are this very tall gentleman, which we'll speak about in a minute, and then one of the girls. And we're all just chatting, having a good time. And next thing you know, your brother and this other dude decide to grab this big rock or something and throw it in the river next to us. And it seriously freaks everyone out. Like, I remember immediately standing up, like, on edge. And a little context before, this gentleman was telling this girl that no matter what, he would protect her.
You're saying it wrong.
Oh, please tell me. Tell me.
He'll never listen to this. He's trying to look manly in front of this girl, and he says, yo, lady dude, I will always protect you. No matter what anything happens. If an animal comes, I will protect you. I'll protect you. Sploosh! Shoves her down.
Yeah.
Mario leaps over and takes off. And then the other guy, the proponent of the Trail of Tears, who we're going to call Timmy in this particular situation, takes off running
and
with the flashlight. With the flashlight. So you can just see in the distance the light just going up and down as he's just running away. And the legend has it that he's bawling his eyes out.
Oh my God.
I'm going to throw the story back to you because the rest of it is all yours. The real context here is he didn't cry at all.
Oh yeah, let me.
But go, okay,
So
now
first
you say
off,
go.
the gentleman who said he'll like always protect this girl, be by her side. When he Mario leaps over her, he's also holding a flashlight, or he was holding a flashlight, but he drops it. And from my point of view, it was like watching a horror movie commercial where you always see the girl like sitting down and then like moving backwards like she saw a monster, and that's what you see. When he dropped the flashlight, it's looking right at her and she's just backing up while this gentleman jumps over her and books it. So the other guy books it as well. Like you said, flashlight is flaring up and down like at a casino. Like, yeah, and he's crying his eyes out. I mean, his shirt's soaked at the end of it, eyes bloodshot. And so we're all like, what in the world? And then later you hear your brother and this other guy laughing. So we all know it's a prank.
Yeah.
And when we get back, I start teasing this guy. I was like, dude, I can't believe you cried so much. And to give context, he didn't cry. Like you said, he didn't cry. All he did was run out of fear. But I added, he cried.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell he was like, I wasn't crying. Yeah, joking around. Well, when we go back to the group, this 1,000-person group, I decided to tell everyone the story that he cried. And I'm telling you, I added so many details. I detailed every tear that fell from his face. And everyone believes me. And this is such a false rumor that I am spreading. Mm-hmm. And it goes like viral within our, community, you could say.
Right.
And it got so bad that he calls me and he's like, hey, this thing about me crying, I think it's gone too far. I think you got to take it back. And me, as a stupid young man that can't take any responsibility, I go, dude, I never started that rumor. He started it. and I pointed to one of your friends, and let's say it's Mr. Smith. And I was like, dude, Smith started that story. And he's like, really? So he hangs up on me, calls Smith, and he's like, hey, I heard you started this rumor about me. And I don't know what's going on in the conversation, right? But Mr. Smith calls me, and he goes, hey, dude, did you tell Timmy that I spread the crying rumor? And now guilt has hit me, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, dude, I'm sorry. I totally threw you in the bus. And he goes, that's genius. And I'm pretty sure to this day he hates my guts for spreading this rumor
my God.
of the Trail of Tears. They say to this day you can still feel the moisture in the wood.
Dude, the following year that we went back, it had rained a couple days. So dude, you better believe when we walked on the path, there was some rain left over in the puddle, and I texted a picture to him.
Did you really?
I did.
What did he say? Did he even ever respond?
He just kind of like was ha 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 screw you, which was like it wasn't like I know Timmy in real life. He's
a great guy.
he's a really cool guy. Sometimes he can really give it, but that one really got to him. He didn't take it there that time, but
yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, before we go on, I told everyone that I got some DQ time. So it's so funny because you kind of ruined it for me since you've been asking me all these questions. Because I wanted to do it in the last episode, which I thought would have been more interactive. And I want to call it, and I want to make a second a dude quiz time. So
dude quiz time.
Yeah, DQ time.
Shoot. Okay.
So and you can come up with a question for me next episode, or we both come up. But it's basically where we're gonna ask you a thought-provoking question, and I want listeners. This is interactive, so I want you guys to answer in the comments your answer.
Do it.
And this is definitely more of a little bit of a I wouldn't say it's serious because you know what I'm talking about here, but many listeners don't. They don't need to know the story yet. Gotcha. So DQ time. Something like that. Okay. So DQ time. Let's say your close friend is making his move on a girl, and he's doing this over and over, and then when he goes to ask for her number,
oh God,
she straight up rejects him, and it's not even questionable. Okay, but he doesn't notice that he just got rejected.
Okay.
And this happens in front of not only him and the girl, but in front of you, your other friends, and her other friends. Now he gets in the car. Silence. The question, do you, A, tell him, bro, you got rejected. Jeez, what a loser. You need to move on. Or B, stay silent. It's obvious. He obviously knows. So I want listeners, A, B, explain your reason. So A, you tell him, and you tell him he got rejected in front of his face, or B, you stay quiet because it was so obvious. What is your answer?
I don't know, man. This has literally never happened to me before.
Oh, shut your mouth!
Let's say in the situation where, you know what? Forget it. I'm not even gonna add. I'm gonna tell him. Yeah.
Okay, tell me why. First off, let's just make up this story in quotation marks.
Okay.
This guy was going that this girl is in the palm of his hands, right? Again, we were camping, and I remember he's come back to the tent, and he's just like, she wants me. Like, I'm telling you, she just made me dinner. She's mine. I'm exaggerating.
Right, yeah, of course.
But,
of course.
he was giving that vibe off. That, she is his without her even knowing.
Yep.
So at the end of the trip, he goes up to her, and he's like, hey, let me get your number. Or you know what, you can get
my number from lady dude over there.
Get my number from that lady over there. She's got mine. And to paint a picture in our listener's head, this woman went from smiling, going hey, what's going on? And when he said that, her smile went gone. She has no happiness on her face. Her eyes are wide, and she's slowly going left and right in her head.
No. Have you ever driven by roadkill and you kind of ooh? Yeah, that's the face she made.
She looked
it was disgust to her.
Yeah, she was like, I can't believe you just asked me this.
Yeah.
And it was so obvious. So I remember were you in the front seat?
I was in the back seat.
You were in the back seat, yeah. Mm-hmm. Our friend is driving. Mm-hmm. He's in the front seat. And then you and I are in the back. And I remember our buddy's driving, look at the rearview mirror, and I look at him my lips, my lips are going ear to ear, not smiling. My eyes are wide, and I'm this guy just,
right.
The guy just got shot. There was if it was quiet, you would literally hear from miles away, like guy got killed, and it's just obvious.
Franz Ferdinand.
So we're driving for at least like 30 seconds of dead silence because we all just witnessed a murder, and you go, "Jeez, bro, she just rejected."
That is not
Tell me what you said. Tell me what you said.
This was the thing. Homeboy, he knew what happened. And he was probably trying to just save a little face, play it off, knowing full well, like, yeah, I just got, like, this just happened.
So let me get
he was talking more, though. He was talking a little bit like...
Let me take us back. At least from my eyes, because I think the driver agrees, because him and I are on the same wavelength.
Sure,
I'm pretty sure he did not recognize he got rejected.
You don't think he did? Man,
if he did, he pulled that off really well, because, like, he was in high spirits for some weird reason.
Here's the thing. I feel like he knew, was playing it off, or I didn't really truly believe that he was completely unaware. But in that way, I was just going to keep it real because, you know, it's like this guy's like, he's like one of my best friends. I look up to him as an older brother. And I was just like, and it was just like, I'm going to pour the needed cold water on you, bro. I was like, dude, she was definitely not into you. Yeah. And it was, and you and other guy was just like, bro, why would you say that? I'm just like, I'm telling him the truth. I don't want him to think there's something there. You know, like, don't waste your time. Like, okay. And on top of that, this all due respect, but no respect. If you were to go to the gardening aisle of Home Depot because you need something to pull the grass, you would find her hanging there. Yeah. Okay.
I get you.
I do not want my guy to feel like, dude, she's a gardening tool. Okay?
Yep.
You know, you don't need to waste your time on that. Like, she wasn't into you, dog. You needed that.
Yeah.
You needed that. So I know I get a lot of flack for it, but it's just like, man, I had to tell my boy the truth.
So you go with A.
I go with A.
All right. Next episode, in our listener feedback, that's probably what we're going to go over.
Okay.
It's like, what were the most... So we got to hear your answers. So yeah, dude. Leave your comments, A or B. I am so interested in what people would do in that scenario because I am totally B. I would like it was so obvious, and I just couldn't get my heart to tell you like you've just been shot. You need to go to a hospital. Like it was bad.
Oh man! So in that situation, if let's say I was on the other side of that, you would still do B.
I mean, okay. So first off, I would do B. But I don't see this guy as regular. So it wasn't as important to me as you. But because I see you so much, if you were like him and I thought you really didn't notice it, but it was so obvious, I'm like, let him sit on it. He knows. Right. But then if the next day you were talking about this girl, then I'd bring it.
Gotcha.
Then I'd be like, you know what, dude, I think you need to move on.
Gotcha.
But in that scenario, it's because I don't see him often.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was more like he was a friend, but he was more like your friend. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
He knows who he is.
What's that?
That's it. He knows who
he is.
So did you have any other things about types of people?
Yeah, let me see.
Because I know you were so excited for this.
Oh, yeah, I know, dude. No, I definitely, I didn't write too much. It was just bullet points because I knew I was just going to talk and talk.
Good.
I feel like, so the last thing I wrote down, I feel like we covered.
Okay.
Balance of extroversion and introversion, how does it work? I think we pretty much covered that. We don't.
So I had another question. It's not as a DQ time.
Okay, sure.
I actually not even DQ. I take it back. It's more of just scenarios that I want to know if I'm the only one who's gone through it.
Okay.
But does it drive you crazy when you're like, let's say at the mall and you're just, you're walking in, next thing you see is like someone's looking at you and they're waving and you're like, I don't know. And they just wave. Like they're in the background, like big arms, like, hey, and they're looking eye to eye with you. And the moment you raise your hand and go, hey, you hear behind you, hey, and they're talking behind you. There's some people behind you and they come along. Have you ever gone through that?
I have, but I don't wave back. I'm just kind of like, I'm already caught in it. So I'm just like, I'll be looking like, who are they? And if I still don't see and they're still, hey, hi. It's just like, I'll just like, crowd for the audience, just kind of crinkling my eyebrow and just like still kind of looking, and I'm just like, I'll even point to myself and go, me?
See, I think that's the extrovert in me where I'm literally like, oh my God, they want to talk to me. And I'm like, but Mars, like, hey, and literally, it's always.
Because the reality is they're waving at somebody behind it, and in your mind, they're just like, hi, I love your podcast. Sign my impact cards.
But it's, I mean, that's happened to me so many times where it's just it looks like they're looking at me dead in the eye.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you are waving at me. And it is like, by law, I need to wave back.
It's in the Constitution.
And the worst part is like, it's always like what I was saying earlier. It's like the moment you wave, the moment you commit to this awful sin you're going to make.
Right.
The person behind it is like, oh, hey! And they're like, and you're just like, oh, they saw me wave at them and they know I have no friends. Like, that's the worst. Every time I do it, I just imagine they're walking. They're like, oh my God, I've seen you in a while. That guy's such a loser. Like pointing at me and I'm just crying my eyes out going to GameStop. Can't afford anything anyway.
My God, dude. That reminds me. Okay, out in public. I believe you mentioned that there was a particular thing that happened regarding you standing in a line. And
Are you talking about the kid?
yes, I think you
Oh
said
my
you wanted
gosh,
to tell
yeah.
that
I was
story.
in my head, I was like, you know, I might save a story for next episode, but I gotta tell it now.
Oh,
Because
okay,
this is
well,
a total
there it is.
introvert expert story. So we just got married and we went back to the hotel and the next day we were gonna go to Disney for our honeymoon. But we got
It was a
married
nice
over in
honeymoon.
Miami. So Miami, and then for those who don't live in Florida, wait, what did you say?
Oh, I said it was a nice honeymoon. I remember it well.
Shut up. So the wedding was in Miami. We go to our hotel, and then the very next morning we drove 4 hours to Orlando, right? So on our way up, if you're on a highway on your way up, you are going to stop at a rest stop. And actually, the more I remember, sorry, it was at night, so it had to be when we were coming back. So the worst part about our so-called 3 weeks of marriage was we got married in Miami, go to the hotel. Next day, we drive all the way to Orlando, spend 2 weeks in Disney, and then we had to go back to Miami right after the honeymoon because my wife was a photographer at the time and she had to take pictures for another wedding. And then we drove back home that same day.
Oh my God.
So it was like a big, big week. So on our way back, because we went to Disney, we didn't leave until nighttime, and then we drove back that night. So it was the middle of the night. We stop at this rest stop, and if you don't live in Florida, I'm assuming all restaurants are similar, but it's like right between the highway of two intersections, or two highway lanes, one going north, one going south.
Mm.
And it's usually like you have you got your convenience store, your bathrooms, and then that's like your 3 restaurant options. And it's always, at least in Florida, it's always an Earl sandwich, a Wendy's, and then it's always either like a pizza place or something else, or maybe more. But the only thing open past 10 is always Wendy's. It's like the only option you got.
God, yeah.
So we're in line, and because it's the only option, and this highway, you know, millions of people drive on it, it's a huge line at Wendy's. So my wife and I are starving. We got to eat. We just wait in this line. This line is like maybe 15, 16 people long. It's long.
Oh my gosh.
And there's people behind us and the people in front of us, and the person in front is a father and a kid. And this kid is like maybe 6, maybe 7. He's standing on his own, and he's like hip level, so he's got to be young. And like 2 minutes into the line of this 20-minute long line, he just starts, wah, wah, like just starts crying so loud. And another thing, really quick, I think there are more introverts than there are extroverts. Do you agree?
I think so.
I agree. And this is a proof of it because everyone in this line could not speak up and tell them to shut your kid up.
Right.
And the only reason I didn't was I think this is just fascinating because I'm just like, how can you let your kid cry this loud? Like, how are you not embarrassed? Because my dad would have like literally like slapped tape on my mouth and threw me in the back of the car. Like, you don't make a scene in public.
Right.
This kid's crying the whole line. We're just moving up, and it's not like it's like screaming, crying. Oh my so this kid's crying and crying and crying, and then the moment the father's about to he's next in line to make his order, the father turns around, anger in his face, looks at his kid, and then just shut your mouth. And 99% of the experts there, wide-eyed, cover their mouth, and I'm there going,
God, of course.
And my wife slaps me in my arm, shut your mouth. I'm now as loud as the kid, laughing at him. Because this kid went from, wah, wah, shut your mouth. I'm dying laughing. And the father looks at me like, You want some too? Because I'm like laughing at his kid, and I was like, my dad would have done the same thing, and he totally respected me for it. Oh my gosh, dude! I'm gonna remember that to this day. Like that dad, like that kid's probably gonna have a tattoo red mark on his cheek
Oh,
for the rest of his
that
life.
means he got hit good.
Oh yeah, and
Kids
his
need to
crying.
be hit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think discipline is necessary.
Absolutely.
And that kid stopped crying. Lesson learned. Like lesson learned instantly. Oh, like no, Timmy, don't cry.
Dude, you know the funniest thing is all this time I thought that took place in Disney when you guys were in line.
No. I got a ton of Disney stories, but we'll have like a Disney episode.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure. Yeah,
I got
got that
many,
confused.
So many Disney stories. But yeah, no, that one was outside of the honeymoon. We were just on our way back at a rest stop at Wendy's, and that was the highlight of the whole trip, honestly.
Nice.
It was hilarious. Bro, so you got anything to plug?
Man, plugs. Nothing really in particular. You know, I do have my own like solo podcast where I kind of just geek out about like
what is
metal
it?
stuff. It's Full Moon Podcast.
Full Moon Podcast?
The Full Moon Podcast?
I heard that's the best podcast. Next to Two Big Dudes.
No, yeah, it's definitely next to Two Big Dudes. If you're ever, you know, in the mood to listen to me just kind of go on about stuff that I love, which is stuff in like the heavy metal genre, power metal mostly.
Yeah.
I think the last couple episodes, all I really ever talked about was Camelot, now that I think about it. So
how many episodes you got?
2, but I'm already writing like the script for episode 3.
Sweet.
So yeah, check that out if you're interested, feel so inclined, at Full Moon Podcast. I think it's The Full Moon? No, it's at Full Moon Podcast. I look at my phone, but I changed phones and like my accounts on YouTube did not carry over. So the fact that I can't even remember my own YouTube
seems like
handle.
An Android problem. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, enough about yourself.
My camera is so much better than your stupid iPhone. I'm kidding.
Oh, in the comments, Apple or Android.
Oh my god.
I'm just teasing.
Okay, 3-letter friend. You know who you are. Let's go to war.
I got really nothing to plug other than we've had some pretty bad movies out lately, but November seems to be a good month for movies. I'm excited for Hunger Games, and I'm super excited for Dune Part 2. If you've seen the first Dune, which I don't think you've seen it yet, you watched.
I haven't finished it.
It's so good. It's definitely it's
we
like
need to have a movie
for
night.
that year. For me, it was like my movie of that year.
Okay.
And it's definitely the movie where I could not wait for a sequel, and it's finally coming out. I'm so excited. I want to plug those movies because we're gonna have like a movie episode one day, and I'm gonna talk about it.
That we definitely do need to have like a movie episode.
Oh yeah, I gotta talk about Dune at least like a minute or two. It's such a good story.
Yeah, and for our one lady dude friend out there, we won't talk about Guardians 3. We had that discussion.
Oh gosh, no, we're still gonna talk about it.
I mean, if you bring it up, like
we're still gonna talk about it.
Okay, all right.
I'm excited.
Okay, let's do it. No, I'm good for that. All right, man. Well, I think that's just about it. I don't have anything more to plug.
You don't got any pictures to show me? Wow, I'm so
not this time, dude.
I'm teasing.
Not this time.
Dude, sooner or later we're gonna have merch. Join the Patreon, I get the merch.
No, for real. We definitely are trying to do something
sick.
like that. Would be really fun.
Yeah, let us know if you guys want merch.
Yeah, drop it in the comments. But in any case, thanks for joining us. You've been listening to
Two Big Dudes.
I need to get that written.